Kostas, hearing you talk about environmental challenges shadowing safety is a bit disheartening for me. It's not shadowing. We have to take care of both. And the reason I'm saying that is I've been doing this for a couple of decades. I'm a naval architect, and I've been looking at how regulations have been developing. And part of the area that I've looked at very specifically is ballast water management. The first time my boss gave me the book, the Ballast Water Management Convention, I was working at DNV. I was probably one of the first class person who looked at it. We didn't know what it was. We're just naval architects, we build ships, we know how to do cargo system. We didn't know about UV electrolysis, how to treat water, what is this invasive species, and so on. We've come very far, I think. And at this stage, I think, and I hope, most people understand the large risk the transfer of invasive species from one port to another have on society, on the environment, and so on. The implementation of the convention that has started already in 2017 has improved this quite a lot. We are actually implementing the convention now by exchanging ballast water in the middle of the ocean. This is something to brag about. We don't brag about that a lot in our industry. We have ships today have reduced the pollution from their ballast water extremely a lot by doing exchange. We have a second phase, but I hear nobody talk about the first phase. That's a 1,000,000% improvement that we don't talk about, and I don't understand why. Ship owners should talk about this more. You have done a lot by doing exchange. Very quickly, we are based in different parts of the world. I want to highlight nowadays China quite a lot because of all the scrubber activity and all the retrofit activity that's taking place in China. I'm going to come back a little bit later to that because I think China and the Chinese shipping industry will be a key role of whether we are able to meet whatever the IMO is putting on us or not. They're doing most of the work on our ships, and I'm not sure how well they are keeping up with what we are requesting from them. We have an opportunity. We have from 2019 and up until 2024 the possibility to install and retrofit ballast water management systems on board ships to treat the water correctly. If we don't do it right this time, it's going to take us at least 50 years to correct it, because ships live for a very long period of time. And the problem we see, and I've encountered this times and times again, and we still see it today, is that there's a lack of experience and interest from industry to our industry, naval architects, to understand what water treatment is, what biology is, which is very difficult. I mean, compared to oil and stuff like that, it's much more and more complex. Living organisms, fish, stuff like that, they're very difficult. And the other industry, the water treatment industry, who are experts in those things. They know how to treat the water. They're not willing to understand how ships run. And that crashes. And that creates a lot of challenges on both sides that we need somehow to bring together in order to make this a successful experience. The IMO has, and I sit as a consultant for Norway at the IMO. I've been doing that for the last 12 years. And we've been backing up this experience building phase concept at the IMO, where we don't just introduce changes to regulations based on papers submitted, but we actually try to gather all the experiences coming from different stakeholders and try to see if there's a trend we can change. Instead of someone submitting a paper, we need to change this paragraph, we need to put a new requirement, but we actually try to learn how this is being done. Part of this work relies on the fact that we need to have a cross-disciplinary work. Naval architects need to learn more about. I was at the University of the Technical University of Norway up in Trondheim last week, talking to students about ballast water management. They don't do that at school. They don't have ballast water management as a topic at the university. These are marine engineers. Those are the guys and ladies who would be taking over. They don't do that. They don't have it as a topic. That's a challenge. They all know about scrubbers and they know about fuel, because fuel is engines, and engines is a very typical topic you learn when you're a marine engineer. But they don't learn about the other environmental issues coming up. Black carbon, who's heard of that? These are things we need to tackle. We need to teach naval architects those issues. The experience building phase is very important, but it won't work if we don't give a feedback to the IMO, to the member states, to the flag administrations. If everyone is going to keep putting their experiences, like we were talking a few panels ago, with them themselves and their own organizations, we will not improve. We more often than not, sit at the IMO trying to imagine what the challenges of the industry are and trying to imagine what the proposed regulation can solve this imagined challenge, because we don't get any feedback. We don't know how things are working on board ships, and if we don't, we cannot propose regulations that can actually mend that. Very important. We hear a lot of things about ballast water management systems not working. Why are they not working? This is what's more important. Are they not working because the equipment is failing? Is it because the operator is not being able to operate? What's the problem? We need to know that. If we know that, we can fix it. Inadequate crew training. It's not because the crew are not able to learn how to do ballast water management. What we see often is that the training period is very short. It's a very complex equipment. The processes are complex. The equipment itself, you just run it through an HMI. But it's a lot of responsibility, and it's a lot of processes taking place. So we need to give crew some time to learn how to operate those equipment. And then what happens usually that the ship leaves the new building shipyard and they change the crew, and then we're back to square one. Everyone admits that that's a problem. Nobody has yet to propose a solution. How do we make sure that changing crew does not make the equipment obsolete and not operable? We had a long discussion, and we still do, about any inadequacy of the type approval code at the IMO. We have changed that. Has this done the case? Has it become better? We have a new code now. Sampling for compliance for biology. This has been proposed by ship owners' representatives at the IMO. This has been introduced. Nobody is doing it yet. It costs money. If this is a solution you think will work, or the industry thinks it works, and actually regulators put it through, which is good, then we had at least to apply it and give feedback if it's working or not. Some case studies. Ballast water management system code, that's a new code implemented by the IMO for the type approval of the ballast water management systems. Today, it's required to be used on installations done after October 2020. So if you have a ship and you want to install a system after 2020 October, you cannot use a system type approved based on the old system model. You have to do it based on the new code approval. How many systems do we have approved according to the new code? 6 systems out of 85. That's a disaster. Why? Why aren't makers type approving their systems according to the new code? These are challenges we have to be aware of already now, before they hit us pretty hard later on. This is the timeline I discussed, 2020. You're going to get the slides. This is an important, very important date. Everything is happening in 2020. Huh? Feedback to the IMO. The IMO has a thing called a GSIS, the Global Integrated Shipping Information System, that's available for not directly to you, but to your administration. So if you report back to your administrations, they can actually put a lot of feedback on the GSIS. The GSIS includes a template for reporting on how ballast water management systems are working on board ships. And not only ship owners report there, makers can report. We can report. Anyone can send things back to their administration and tell them, this is what I've observed, report it back to the IMO, so we can actually try to do something about it. Very important. Scrubbers, you can report. You can report a lot of things here, and it's anonymous. And this is probably the attempt of IMO to share data, which was a very important topic earlier on. The bottlenecks, and we are back to China. There's a lack of everything in China. The scrubber hype that we are experiencing now has put strains on all the chain from the engineering to the supply of pipes. If you call a glass reinforced piping manufacturer, they won't pick up the phone. They have deliveries all the way up for 10 years from now. They can't supply anymore. Those are just for the scrubbers, and we haven't started with ballast water management. A lot of challenges, bottlenecks that we have to be aware of already now. And it's all happening in China. 70, 80% of those ships go to China. We go around, and then it ends up in China. Very important to keep, even us surveyors, we can't find qualified surveyors. A qualified surveyor that has a lot of experience in China costs $5,000 a month. It's becoming so expensive, it's not easy. A lot of questions, a lot of discussions on ballast water management. I hope that this actually entices some of the discussion and puts some focus on the challenges we will be facing, the bottlenecks, the availability of systems, and whether we are able to operate them on board ships. Thank you.